Good morning, everyone. I hope you're well, and I hope that you're able to join us on Sunday as we worship online again and continue our studies through Mark's Gospel. And we'll be looking at the passages that we're going to be thinking about today on Sunday again. Also, to our young people, those in years 8 to 12, we're having a Zoom event for you at 7 o'clock on Sunday night for about an hour and a half or so. Would love you to join us for that. It would be great to see you. We know that you're fed up with Zoom and doing school through Zoom, but if you've got a little bit of time and you'd like to join us for about an hour or so on Sunday evening, it would be great to see you. Let me read to you from Mark chapter 3 and the first 6 verses. Again, he entered the synagogue, and a man was there with a withered hand. And they watched Jesus to see whether he would heal him on the Sabbath, so that they might accuse him. And he said to the man with the withered hand, "Come here." And he said to them, "Is it lawful on the Sabbath to do good or to do harm, to save life or to kill?" But they were silent. And he looked around at them with anger, grieved at their hardness of heart, and said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." He stretched it out, and his hand was restored. The Pharisees went out and immediately held counsel with the Herodians against him, how to destroy him. It's not often that we picture Jesus as being angry, as being furious. We see him as gentle, compassionate, kind, and of course he was all of those things. But sometimes he was furious. Sometimes he was angry. And this is one of those times. What is it that makes Jesus angry in this short passage? It's utter indifference to suffering. Jesus asks a really easy question in verse 4. What is it lawful to do on the Sabbath? To do good or to do harm? To save life or to kill? It's a dead easy answer. I mean, there is not a child who couldn't answer what's it better to do on the Sabbath, to do good or to do bad? Well, to do good. But Jesus doesn't get an answer from these people. They are far more concerned with tripping Jesus up over a minor regulatory breach than with helping a man who is clearly suffering. They have become so wrapped up in their rules and their regulations that it prevents them from giving an honest answer to a simple question about what they should do about human suffering. And Jesus is furious. He is so concerned about our suffering, and not just our physical or mental suffering here and now, but our eternal futures and our eternal suffering. He is so concerned about that he suffers himself in order to save us. He bears our sin and our suffering on the cross in our place. And so whatever suffering you go through today, whatever suffering you are going through at the moment, whatever else Jesus is, he is not indifferent to that, because he has already suffered for you. He has already stepped into your suffering. Lots of people are suffering in different ways at the moment. People are suffering because they're ill. People are suffering because they've lost loved ones, either to COVID or to something else. Our young people are suffering because they don't know what the future will hold, and they're not getting the same experience of schooling and education that others have had, and so they're suffering. Those who are on their own are suffering, and Jesus is not indifferent to any of that. He is not uncaring about your suffering and what you're going through. And while we tend to sort of talk ourselves out of our suffering and say, well, you know, there are a lot of people a lot worse off than me, while that may be true, it doesn't minimize that you are suffering now, and Jesus is not indifferent to what you're going through or what anyone else is suffering at the moment. Whatever struggles and suffering you face today, Jesus walks through them with you. He identifies with you, and he is there to strengthen you. And when we encounter suffering in others, when we see that made manifest before us, our response is to model the response of Jesus. Not to let rules or regulations or tradition prevent us from doing good, from saving life, but rather stepping in and helping and encouraging and equipping. There may be someone that you know today who is suffering. Maybe they're finding this lockdown particularly difficult for whatever reason. Why don't you reach out to them? Demonstrate that compassion. Show that you're not indifferent to what they're going through. And be the person that they need you to be for them today. Just take a moment, even now. Think of that one person. Pray for them. Reach out to them in a text or a phone call. Show that you're not indifferent to what they're going through. And I trust that someone will phone or text or reach out to you too. God bless you today. In whatever you're facing and whatever you're doing, may you know his caring, compassionate strength and love. God bless.